Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Dr. Lillian Agbayegbe. I am your co-host for this event today. And before we get started, we want to tell you a little bit about ourselves and how we got to be here today. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen where you'll learn a little bit about the organization. Yes, housekeeping rule 101. Please mute your microphones if you are not speaking. Mute your microphones if you're not speaking. We'll appreciate that. And also, as you are joining us, please use the chat to let us know where you're joining us from and if this is your first time of joining this webinar series. Thank you. So a little bit about why we're here today. This is an initiative of the Mind and Soul Helpers Initiative, Double Whammy. It was founded by Professor Hope Egaga. It started actually as a Facebook group, Help Us Soul Alliance, and you can still find that Facebook group on Facebook, so you can go and join us. But it has now been registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission as the Mind and Soul Helpers Initiative. It's a registered organization in Nigeria. What the organization does is it collaborates with partners. We advocate for change. We support impacted persons directly or indirectly, and we educate our community members. I'm going to go on again and say, please mute your microphone if you're not speaking. Interference will be noticed if you do not mute your microphone. Thank you. Your microphone, if you mute it, it will stop interference. So when we say we collaborate with partners, what do we mean? We mean that we recognize we're not the only people working in the space of mental health issues. Some of our partners are Yabba Voices. We promote their events and make sure people are aware about what is going on in terms of mental health awareness all over the world. We advocate for change. We are participating in conversations about policies that need to be changed to improve people's access to mental health services and how government and society is responding to this issue. We also support communities. We're also a supportive community for people impacted by mental health issues. You can join our WhatsApp group or join us on Facebook, and you can hear conversations about what is going on or referral to people who are impacted by mental health issues. We have our educative program, and this event you're attending today is one of our educational outreach series. So we do this monthly educational series. They're usually held on the last Saturday of the month. Our founder, initiator, Professor Gaga, or any of our members can also give media interviews to address misconceptions about mental health issues. You can always request us if you reach out to us, and somebody will be willing to speak to you and whatever you want to get educated upon. This year, we have lined out our webinar series till the end of the year. You can always find this information when you join our series or if you're a member of our WhatsApp group or Facebook group. We have already had 2 webinars this year. This is the 3rd month. So today we're having a March webinar series. We're talking about death awareness and psychological preparation. Guest lecturer is Dr. Ngozi Okeji. And we have a topics for April, May, June, July, September, October, November, all the way till the end of the year. Now, we encourage you to connect with us. Please find us on Facebook, Help Us All Alliance. We're a mental health organization. You can find us on Facebook. You can join us on WhatsApp. Our YouTube channel is up and coming. And if you'd like to contact us, please email us at mashihelp@gmail.com. Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing now and let you know again. We'll say if you are not speaking, please mute your microphone. If you are here, please let us know where you're joining us from. If this is your first time of joining us, let us know as well. And we encourage you to also share the link. Share the link while you're here. You can share the link to your family, to your friends, to your loved ones, so that they can quickly join us. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker for today. Our guest speaker for today is she holds many hats, but that's just to tell you that you're in for several encounters today. Dr. Pastor Ngozi Ukeji, she is the executive founder of the nonprofit organization, Lord and Blessing Services. And so I'm going to read a quick bio so that you have some insight on who's going to be speaking to us today. Dr. Ngozi Ikeji is a recently retired lecturer from Blaise University, Faculty of Management and Social Studies, Abuja, Nigeria. She has substantial expertise and experience in human resource management and counseling. Prior to joining, I'm not sure I'm saying that, prior to joining Blaise University, she was the Director of Education and Assistant to the Campus Dean at Vista College University in Texas, United States, where she lectured in leadership and management courses. As assistant to the campus dean, she was also involved in the day-to-day administration of the campus. She obtained her doctorate degree in biblical counseling in USA. She has a master's of science degree in applied statistics and industrial management, has a second master's of science degree in international relations and human resource management, and she has a bachelor's of arts degree in psychology. She also has an honorary doctorate degree in divinity. Dr. Ngozi Ikeji is the founder of the NGO Lord and Blessing Services. They cater for widows, orphans, and disabled people abroad and in Nigeria. A board council member and fellow of the Institute of Humanitarian Studies and Social Development, and there she volunteers as project advisor and training facilitator. She recently received a certificate from the Psycho-Spiritual Institute of Lux Terra Leadership Foundation for the completion of the basic psycho trauma healing skills for professionals and volunteers. She's a loving mother and grandmother. Above all, her faith in God, her creator, has carried her through many trials and tribulations, and she's still standing today. And today we are fortunate to have her come and talk to us about death and spiritual preparation. Now, if you have ever lost anybody, you can just use your emoji to show by raising your hands. Has anybody ever lost somebody that you know, somebody that you know? Has that ever happened to anybody? Death is something that is inevitable, and all of us will have to, pass away at some point or the other in the world. But the real issue is, how do we cope with it? Sometimes I see the hands going up, thank you for participating. And sometimes death can be a relief. People want it so much that there's some places where people actually pass policies to say, they want to be able to have the opportunity to say enough is enough and we're going out of there. That might be the case when somebody is suffering and is in deep pain and that has to go. But sometimes it comes to us as a shock because either the person is young, the person was perfectly well and doing just, slept and didn't wake up, or maybe a tragic accident or armed robbery or something. What happens to us when we experience death? How do we know that this is something and how do we cope about it? Because sometimes when we're not able to cope appropriately, it throws us into a downward spiral and we have no idea how to pick ourselves back up. And so I'm Dr. Princess Ngozi Ikeji. I'm going to turn it over to us. She's going to do justice to this presentation today. Please, I want you to know that you can participate using the chat feature. If you have questions, I'm going to be monitoring the chat for your questions. If we have time at the end, you can actually come off mic and have the opportunity to ask your questions out loud or to make contributions. But for now, I'm going to turn the floor over to Dr. Princess Ngozi Ikeji. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
the network system in our country is very wonderful, to say the least. And so you always have to check to make sure that you're not talking to yourself.
Thank you very much.
We
can hear you.
Welcome everybody. Welcome. I see a lot of first timers coming into the Zoom room today. So that's wonderful. Kudos to you. Clap hands for yourself. I know we have a very short period of time, so I'm going to dive into the topic. I have taken some liberties in making a slight adjustment to the title, and there are reasons behind that. Generally, when you bring the word death up, immediately people have a defense mechanism around them. Their antennas go up, all kinds of things, fears, phobias, everything kicks into place. Touch to the topic by saying embracing mortality. When we use the word mortality, we don't always remember that it means the same thing as death. So for this segment, we're going to pretend a little bit, but we know the real truth. So the power of death awareness and psychological preparation. I'm going to do a disclaimer because of some information that went out so that we're all on the same page. Hello?
Yes, we can still hear you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Once upon a time, I was an active lecturer at Bayes University, but I retired since 2020. And now I run my own NGO, Lord and Blessing Palmer Foundation. And that in foundation is very busy doing a lot of global projects. So, so that keeps me busy. But I wanted to make that disclaimer just in case somebody had seen something that went out there before and may have an issue with it. The disclaimer is out there and it's made by me. So I want to give you kind of a thought-provoking question. How does the awareness or lack of awareness of death shape the way you live? Most of what I'm going to talk about is going to be personal to you. And so as I talk, I just kind of want you to put on a hat, a thinking cap, because this is really about each and every one of us. And no matter what, we will experience some form of mortality, whether it be at an early age, young age, but at some point in our lives, we will be experiencing that. So death versus sleep. Yeah, you're probably wondering, why would I say that? Well, sleep is often referred to as the cousin to death. Because you go to sleep, everything in your body temporarily slows down. And your breathing slows down, your body functions slow down, your heart rate slows down. And there's a reason for that. It's not, and I will talk a little bit about that reason, but sleep is seen as a temporary death, but you do wake up from it. So I don't want anybody to fear sleep. Your body have conjure all these ideas and thoughts into your mind as, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. No, your body needs sleep and you do need to sleep. All right. Death, on the other hand, is final. And what does that mean? It means that all your biological functions of life are all done. They're not working. Nothing is performing its duty. And you generally need a professional to certify that your body is no longer in a functioning state. Okay, so I just want you to have that in mind. But people generally think of it as a cousin, sleep as a cousin to death. How aware are you, of death? I say we, because we're in a group, but how aware are you as an individual of death? Where do our fears and phobias of death come from? We'll talk a little bit about some coping tips, and also we'll dive a little bit into the psychological, emotional economic and situational preparation for death. This topic is very extensive, and it could take 3 hours or even more. But I know we don't have that much time, so I have tried to make it as concise as possible and touch at least on the parts that I believe are very germane to us as human beings. If we are human, that means that we will die one day. Everyone's death to die is different. Every single one of us. Nobody knows when that is going to happen. But if everything is operating properly in our bodies, we will all die. Our mindfulness of death is a practice of acknowledging and accepting the inevitability of death. So no matter what we may say, like, oh, God forbid, it's not my portion, all of those things that we tend, especially those of us on the continent, tend to say or do. So this acceptance can lead to more meaningful life. The way we deal with that, the way we accept it, can determine how we actually live our lives and whether or not we enjoy the time that we have on earth. So in the Buddhist religion, the practice of keeping death in the forefront is is how they function, is how they deal with it. They don't shy away from it, and they deal with it head on. So what I want to do right now is kind of talk a little bit about what some religions say about death, because a lot of where we get some of our thoughts and ideas about death happen to deal with where we are in our religious walk, so to speak. So in terms of Christianity, death is the transition to external or eternal life, to either heaven or hell. Now, I'm not going to argue as to whether there is a heaven or a hell. That is an individual thing. But basically for Christianity, there's a heaven and there's a hell. And depending on one's faith and actions will determine which way one ends up, according to Christianity. Now, in the Islam faith, death marks the soul's journey to the afterlife. Muslims believe in a day of judgment that determines one's place in paradise or hell. So it's paradise for Islam, it's heaven for Christianity, but they all kind of conjure the same kind of idea. Hinduism, death is a step in the circle of birth, death, and rebirth. Okay, samsara. It also talks about your karma. A soul's action, your karma, also influences your next life. And some of you, I know, have used the word karma, that this person's karma or that person's karma is good, bad, or whatever. So we already understand what karma means. In Buddhism, death is a part of the cycle of rebirth. Buddhists focus on attaining enlightenment to escape suffering and the endless cycle of birth and death. So for Judaism, many Jews hold the idea of an afterlife or a spiritual continuation. The focus is on living a righteous life and maintaining a close relationship with God. And I was thinking a little bit about that, and I've had the opportunity to meet and talk to a lot of Jews in my life. And they are very connected to God, even in their structure of prayer and those kinds of things, and even in terms of eating, eating certain foods or not eating certain foods and eating those foods at specific times. They're very connected to that relational aspect of it. And to be honest with you, I've never met a poor Jew. All the Jews I know are fairly wealthy and endowed. And if any of us have had the opportunity of being around Jews, you know that they are very avid business people. And in their business, there's always that aura of relationship with God. Now, the last religion that I'm going to talk about is the African traditional religions. Many emphasize a connection between the ancestors and the living. What some of our cultures, when there's a function happening, we will open up a bottle of alcohol, so to speak, and we will bless the ancestors first before the rest of the living get to taste whatever it is. So there is a very deep connection in African traditional religions with those that have gone ahead, those are considered ancestors, and those that are still living. So, and that relationship has an influence on the community as the community grows and continues to do what they're going to do. So how does society handle the concept of death? Well, let's look at modern society. Death is often medicalized and distanced, meaning it's not something that we deal with. The medical people take care of it, do this, whatever, make the announcement, then they make the arrangements, and then you just come and do whatever you have to do. So in many cases, the focus is on really prolonging life as much as possible, using artificial tools to keep people longer than maybe they need to be, hoping to minimize suffering and to avoid the open conversation about what is actually going to happen, which is death. So that's what modern society does. You have grieving and mourning. There are some established rituals that we as human beings get involved in: wakes, memorials, funerals. Those are rituals that we get involved in to either deal with our grief or to honor the dead, whichever way, or a combination of both. Depending on the culture that you're part of, will depend on which ones you really partake in or which other rituals you might be involved in. Cultural variations. Some cultures celebrate death as a transition or journey instead of an end. In Mexico, they have what is called the Day of the Dead. And that day is a celebration. It's filled with merriment. It's filled with food, music, dance, excitement. Some other people may look at that and say, oh my goodness, call it a disgrace, or they might look at it and say, oh, those people don't respect the dead. Well, that's how they celebrate their dead. Philosophical view, you lean towards the existential or physiological interpretation of death, encouraging individuals to find meaning in their lives so that they can deal with the whole concept of death. So that's how society generally handles that. How do we humans handle it? We philosophize. Like Socrates suggested that death might be a transition to a better state. Everybody's still waiting to find out what that really looks like. Poets and artists, many of them have written about death. As a matter of fact, Shakespeare, for those of you who have read Shakespeare in his book Hamlet, he said it is the undiscovered country. And for artists that actually do some depictions, they portray death as a muse for beauty, sadness, and transcendence. So we as humans have ways that we try to deal with it. On a personal reflection, humans often see death as a moment for reflection
That's
Fear.
perfectly good. And she's actually talking nicely.
Hello?
Thank you for muting your microphones if you're not speaking, please. Thank you.
All right. Sorry about that. Let's see. Humans often see that as a moment for reflection, fear, or peace, depending on where you are mentally at that time. People spiritual. Uh, Creating a legacy for that person or leaving a legacy themselves by honoring the dead themselves or honoring themselves in the process of leaving that legacy. While some use it as an opportunity to start to cherish life's moments, they start to see life from a different perspective. And so they start to live in the moment. So, how do living things handle death? We'll be very surprised to know that animals sometimes show some signs of grieving. Elephants, in some cases, if one of their other elephants is dying or has died, some of the other elephants will sit or stay around the bones. In some cases, the other elephants will carry the bones of their dead with them. Dolphins also do a similar thing too. They sometimes carry the dead on their back, the bones of the dead. So yes, animals are living things, so they also have to deal with the whole concept of death. Another thing that they might do is they might use a protective instinct. A lot of animals go into defense mode, and they will stay close to the one that's dying, trying to protect the one from that's dying from other predators. Um, and that's instinctive because animals don't have talk. They don't talk to each other, but it's an instinctive thing that they do. Or they might go into eating the dead. I know that doesn't sound like a wonderful idea for us as humans, but it does have a purpose. Nature has a way of restoring balance and ensuring that nothing is wasted. So that's one of the methods that's used, where other animals may eat other dead animals, again, not wasting anything in life. Or there might be a behavioral change. Those of us who have animals at home close to you might notice that either your dog or your cat is behaving in a certain manner. If there's a loss of another dog or cat in that household, they may display a loss of appetite, or they may just withdraw literally from the rest of the family and start behaving in a very strange manner. So those of you who have animals and you have more than one or two and they've been around each other for a long time, you want to keep your eyes on that if anything should happen to any of the animals. So our fears and phobias, where do they actually come from? Death is a must. Again, I've said that before, for everything that's living. Is one of those phenomena of life that none of us can escape from, whether we like it or not. Generally, by the time one gets to their teen years, someone around them has died. Unfortunately, we don't prepare for before, during, or even after that type of an event. So at a very early age, we start to learn sometimes negative displays of what death really looks like. If you are a widow, meaning that your husband has died, in many African cultures, the woman has to bear the brunt of that death. What do I mean by that? In some cultures, she has to shave all her hair off. She has to wear black. And she has to be indoors for a whole year. She cannot really socialize or be with anybody else. Well, it's not the same if the man's wife dies. He doesn't always necessarily have to go through all of those. So again, how we interact, how we present what death means also increases our fears and our phobias of it. I don't know about you, but as a woman, I fear having to shave my head for anybody or having to wear black for the whole year or anything like that. That's a fear that I don't even want to deal with. And so these are some of the things that really start and level out where our phobias and our fears come from. We as human beings have so many fears and phobias about that. So many times so many sometimes do not recover from the loss of a loved one, because there's so many fears and there's so many phobias, and there's no outlet for that person to deal with what they're dealing with. Sometimes they never recover. And in many cases, it can shorten their own lives too. Our fears and phobias come from the habits that we've demonstrated, that you see demonstrated around us. I had the experience of going out with some people, and we happened to pass a man who was building coffins. And I thought the person had lost their mind. They completely changed their behavior. Oh, they started screaming and shouting, oh, God forbid, snapping fingers and doing all kinds of things. And I said, what are you doing? And they said, didn't you see those? I said, see what? The coffins. I said, yeah, and? Oh, no. Why did you pass through here? Why isn't there another road? We should have gone somewhere. I was like, oh my goodness. But that's what happens. And then, don't know my portion number. Whose portion is it? I mean, I don't know that God created the world and said, okay, this is your portion and this is not your portion. We're all humans. We're going to die. So the way we interact or the way we react to death, other people are watching, especially the young in our families. They're watching, and they'll pick up all of those things. Also, the teachings that we get from our religious leaders and also from the academic world also make talking about death a taboo. In many cases, if you bring the word up, death, in your environment, somebody said, can we talk about something else? I mean, did you really have to say that word? Is there nothing else that you have to talk about? Well, guess what? Death is part of life. We need to start talking about it. And so that people will have a better appreciation for life, because death is part of life. Actually, this is one of the last topics. This topic that I'm on was one of the last topics that was picked from the list of proposed topics for this year with MASHI, if Professor Hope will bear me witness. So, I know people are probably wondering whether or not I have a morbid sense of life, and that's why this topic interests me. Trust me, I don't, but this topic is important for all of us so that we can all live healthier lives. So what are some coping tips for practicing death awareness? Meditation, okay? Doing some meditation. If you don't know anything about meditation, go do some research. There are different kinds of meditations that you can do that will help to calm you down and get you in an environment where you can actually focus. Reflection, reflect on that person's life, reflect on how that person's life intertwined with yours, as not as a bad thing, but more of as a good thing. You use this time to plan. What do I mean by planning? Use this time to set your matters in place. Many people, you talk to them about writing a will, and immediately they want to bind and strap you with all manner of prayer, because you have just said the worst word you can think about in the English dictionary: writing a will. Writing a will does not equate death. And I am one that will always say that. When my father passed away 24, 25 years ago, that was the first draft of my will. And I'm still alive. I'm still alive. And the writing of the will did not.
Sorry, hello, Mr. Peter, if you could mute your microphone. Thank you.
And writing a will does not equate death. Okay, and I know I have a few more minutes, so let me rush through the rest of it. Then you can expose yourself to what they call exposed therapy, or something called terror management theory. It's fear of death influences our thoughts and behaviors and our cultural views. So we need to figure out how we get through that. Now, here are some quotes of death awareness that maybe some of you have heard or not heard. For lack of time, I'm just going to talk about the last two. To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. And that was by J.K. Rowling. And every man dies. Not every man really lives. That's William Wallace. So those are some ideas. This is life happening. See the vibrant colors, see all kinds of things going on around you. Life in every form or format. There's humans, there's animals, there's insects, there's buildings, there's trees. That's life. And death is also part of that. Here are some benefits of death awareness. Living in the present, knowledge and acceptance, making the most of life, being very grateful for the life that you have. Reducing fear and anxiety, that's a natural process. Increase your gratitude, be more grateful for the fact that you still get to do something, or you still get to be part of the living. So be grateful, do what God is calling you to do. Improve, it really does improve your mental health and your stability. So let's jump now into the psychological preparation. I've just given you a real short version of death awareness or your mortality. So let's talk about psychological preparation. Remember that death is on the pathway of all our journeys, and we will all be involved no matter what we try to do or not do. Talk about death and its effect. If there's a death in the family, talk about it with all the members of the family. I mean, yes, at certain ages, there are ages that you may not necessarily want to go into so much detail, but when you get to an age of at least high teens and adulthood, talk about death, okay? Talk about your wishes. If there's a death in the family, that's the time sometimes to start to talk about, okay, what is it that you want to happen when you go? Why is that important? Okay, because it removes all the problems that are going to happen later. And many of us know about those kinds of things. It removes all the fighting, in-house fighting. It removes all of those kinds of things. Okay, if it is possible, make the arrangements yourself prior to your time of death, if it is possible. What do I mean by that? Have a will done. Talk to your family members. Pick out your final resting place if you can. If you know you're going to do a wake and service of songs or whatever, have the songs that you want to be sung at your wake. What kind of a celebration do you want? What kind of a budget do you want people to use? Remember, there's life after death. So if people wipe out all their money just to bury the dead, then what happens to the living? And sometimes I think we kind of get that all mixed up. If you're in a country where you can buy life insurance, buy life insurance so that life insurance covers the expenses. Okay, why? Because this is a high, emotions at this time are so raw, they're so high. People are ready to fight with each other. So if you take care of most of these things before then, it will ease off the environment a lot better. Bless others whilst you're alive, because nothing goes with you when you die. So we stockpile, and then we're not here, and then people fight over what we've stockpiled. Give them away, give things away. You only need use what you need and give everything away before, if you know that your time is coming close. This way, there'll be no infighting. As a matter of fact, this morning, I just received a list this morning of 58 Nigerians in London who died, and nobody knows anything about them. And they own property in London, and the property is still there. Nobody can access the property because nobody even knows about these people. And they just published a list of at least 58 Nigerians who have property and no next of kin mentioned. So let's take care of the things that we need to take care of. And some of you are saying, how can you do this? Some of you are wondering, is this even possible? What does she know? Are you sure she has even dealt with death? Well, it will surprise you to know that I have dealt with a lot of death. My grandfathers, my grandparents, friends during the Biafran War, extended family, my father, as I mentioned before, even me personally with miscarriages. I lost an adult child at the age, the child was 21. My in-laws, my mother, I lost my mother during COVID. I couldn't even be around to go to her funeral. So even ex-boyfriends. And the list goes on and on and on. I prepared, as I said, my first draft of my will over 20 years ago. And my oldest son has a copy of that will. You do notice, even though some of us believe that when you start talking about a will, that you're trying to bring death to the person that you're talking about. I'm still here. Nothing has happened to me. I'd like to encourage people to show their family love. And how do you show your family love? Because you take care of what will happen when you're not there. That's the way to show love. I talk openly about that. I actually do have a talk therapy platform where topics of this nature are allowed, and I encourage people to talk about it because we have too many young people killing themselves because they don't really understand how, when they do that, how it's affecting those that they leave behind. So it's time for us to start talking about that. Don't live in guilt. Live to honor their memory and live to enjoy the rest of your life. Okay, why are we so sad? We're sad because we want to physically see that person again. We miss what the person does for us. We may not have been nice enough to that person, and now we have guilt. We don't have a chance to do something special for that person because we've always said, I'll do something, and then boom, the person is not there anymore. So we didn't have a chance to do that. We didn't have a chance to forgive them if they did something wrong to us, or if we did something wrong to them and now they're gone, so now we carry that guilt. Or we didn't have a chance to say our last goodbyes. And so those are some of the things that make us sad when people have left us. So what are some of the takeaways? Love one another because love is true, love is powerful. Be present in the moment. Don't try to figure out tomorrow. Okay, take care of what matters most, those that are living. Consider creating a legacy or doing something meaningful to honor that person's memory. It's never too early to be prepared. Start now, reflect on your life, your choices, and your values. Accept the inevitability of death and life. Of death and live. Okay, death is part of life, but you also need to live if you're not the one that's dead. Live. Understand the science behind it and know that God is wise. And most of all, talk about it. Don't hide, be open about it, and let everybody understand that it is part of life. My prayer today was, today, God, show me glimpses of your divine nature and everlasting love. Draw me closer to you and show me how I can love others just as you have loved me. I want to be a person who brings hope love, and life to others, because darkness wants us to feel it has control, but it doesn't. In Jesus' name. So arise, shine, because death has no control over you. Matthew 11:28-30, and John 1:1-5. As a Christian, I will quote the Bible, so I hope I haven't offended anybody, but that's my walk. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, thank you. Dalo, Nagode, Ashe.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you people can use your emojis, I'd appreciate a round of applause for guest presenters. You can use your emojis to give her a round of applause for her presentation. You find that you're all Zoom experts by now, so you can give a round of applause. Thank you so much. Yes, and we're getting the round of applause in the chat as well. Thank you so much. I'm very informed conversation. I was trying to keep up in the chat with comments and things like that. I'm going to read some feedback that we have. One from Caroline Ojo. She also had a question earlier. She says, thank you so much for shedding light on such an important topic. I feel more informed about how to psychologically prepare for difficult conversations and situations regarding death. She did have a question earlier, so I put that out. And if you have questions or contributions, please let us know. She said, what are some of the effective psychological strategies for accepting mortality and living a fulfilling life in the face of death awareness? And I think you addressed this already, but if you just want to quickly highlight one or two.
Do you want me to do that now?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah. Some of the tips are, first of all, understanding that it's part of life. Okay, that's the basics. Anybody that's born on this earth will die. And I know that we don't like to hear that, but it is very important that we understand that that's part of the journey that each and every one of us on earth are going to follow. Whether it be today or tomorrow, every one of us on this screen will die. So if you start from that foundation, then it becomes a little easier for you to deal with the fact that it's going to happen. And preparedness, let's get ourselves prepared, not only just our minds, but everything else around us. Prepare for it. If you know that people in your family want large funerals, then start finding where you're going to get the money to do it, because it's nobody's responsibility to bury whoever it is that is around you, or that's your members, that's your family member. That's your responsibility. So talk about it. Talk.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So for those of you who are listening, I want to thank you all for joining us today. This webinar has come to you courtesy of MASHI. We hold this monthly webinar series on the last Saturday of the month. Today we're talking about, she said, embracing mortality. And so when everybody is going to die at one point in time. And so it's very important for us to know that this is something that is inevitable. Not talking about it is not going to make it not happen. It is going to happen. So have those conversations. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself in terms of writing a will and letting people know what you want to happen when you're gone. But also live your life. And because if you know that you're going to go away one day or the other, then you can be committed to living your life today. Do the best that you do. Because the reason why some people are sad when people go is they have all these things that they wanted to accomplish and they thought was still going to happen. So just live your life in the here and the now. Do your best. Have conversations with people. It's writing a will is not going to make you die timely. She's already said she wrote her will 20 years ago. I wrote my will 8 years ago, and we're still here today. It's really not going to make you go away. And I see that Dr. Sum up, did you want to make a contribution? Dr. Samba, is your hand up by mistake, or were you? Okay.
Unmute. Unmute, Dr. Sunday.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
Yeah, very well. I should like to thank you for the beautiful presentation, but my view is a little bit tangential to your position, essentially about that of will writing. In our culture, it is not sacrosanct that writing a will is equal to respecting the will. And you find out that this is commonplace among several, even very eminent lawyers, the name with whom every one of us almost are familiar with. So that is on one side. And my personal experience of my father's estate is a classic one to me. And it can be traumatic when the dead has a good intention. For example, asking the beneficiaries to be on equal terms. What else would anybody want to expect? Treating everybody equally and fairly, yet because of the human dynamics, the psychological components of sibling rivalries and issues will come to play. However, it still does not stop one from writing a will. Beyond that, I think it is essential for an individual or family members to try very hard to psychoeducate the children very well ahead of the event when it will eventually happen. This is my view. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Kechu, I don't know if you have anything to say, but what I would say, it's so very good that you prefaced it to say, personal experience, because I think writing a will is just to encourage us to be more comfortable having the conversations about death. Whether a will is respected or not is another different dynamic, and it doesn't really have to do with death per se. It has to do with other things, maybe legislation or cultural practices. But in terms of the openness to know that death is it's inevitable. You write a will because you recognize that I'm not going to be here at some point in time. My assets have to go to some people. And so this is how I want it to do. Whether the laws allow people to comply or whether people cooperate or all of that, that is again tangential to death.
Not to interrupt you. Yes, I agree that in our culture, people don't always abide by written documents. But the more people that know about whatever it is that you have decided, because what happens is that in our culture, people write wills and they're the only ones who know that there's a will that has been written, and their lawyer. And if the lawyer becomes compromised, that will goes in the trash bag. That's basically what happens. But if you have a will and 10 people in your family know what is in that will, there's no way that the will is not going to be abided by. And so that's why I talk about it, gather, have the same way you have family meetings and you have family gatherings, talk about it then. So everybody there has heard it from you. When it comes directly from your mouth, if they honor you and respect you, then they will say, remember when so-and-so said that? Why are we fighting about it now? He already said it, and he said it 5 years ago, and all of us were there. Why are we fighting about it now? So it helps to bring people back to reality. Like I said, emotions are very raw when there's a death in the family. And so you want to make sure that you do whatever you can to mitigate as much as that as possible. Are you going to eradicate all of that? Are you going to stop people from fighting over what doesn't belong to them? No, we're not. But can we maybe have less people get killed over it? Yeah, yes, we can.
Great, thank you so much. We're going to take 2 more questions. Samsung, sorry, I can't see your name. I do see your hand is raised. Did you have a question, a comment, or a contribution?
Oh, are you talking about me?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I do have a comment, and by introduction.
Can you introduce yourself so we can?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
By introduction, my name is Professor Ikechukwu Ukeje. I am the younger brother of the presenter and speaker. I just wanted to let you know that I am driving in Atlanta, Georgia, but I would not miss my sister's presentation for anything. I want to commend her for her presentation. I just wanted to let her know that in full disclosure, her family is here. We are proud of her presentation, and we were listening very attentively. That's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
Hey, talk about family. See what I mean by talk about it, talk about it, talk about it? Well, there you go. That's evidence right there. Thank you, family. I appreciate you. Love, 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 kisses.
Thank you so much. We have one question. It's there. It says, what role can hospitals in Nigeria play in the grieving process of families?
I'm sorry, repeat.
What role can hospitals in Nigeria play in the grieving process of families?
Yeah. That our hospitals are probably the place that the grieving part really gets real hard because of, first of all, how the dead are displayed in your hospital. In some cases, how even the announcement is made, the way that family members are treated, and it's all about, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, it's all about the money. Have you paid the money so that we can move the corpse? Have you paid who have you called the mortuary? Have you called this? So there's no emotional tie to that. And most people, when they hear that their family member has passed in the hospital, in many cases, by the time they get to the hospital, the bed has been cleared, the body has been moved. They don't even know where the body of their family member is. So yeah, we need to do some more training for hospital staff in terms of customer service, because that is part of customer service, in terms of how do you deal with the emotional part and piece that people are going through, because it's traumatic. It's a traumatic situation. And you, as the staff or a member of a hospital, isn't making it any easier for the family to be able to be cohesive in what they have to do to finish off the process. So yeah, training, 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 more training, more training.
Training, 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 more training, more training. Thank you all for joining us today. We really had a diverse audience, a lot of people joining us for the first time. As we heard from Dr. Okechi, who was joining us from Atlanta.
Can I also, if you don't mind, I'm also her sister. I'm actually the last born. My name is Uche Ukeje. So I'm also in Florida, and I'm also joining to make sure and support her. And I listened to everything she said, and I commend her for everything. So I just wanted to make sure I know that everybody knows that her family is also behind her.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, we had Florida in the house. We had Atlanta in the house. We had the Yabatech Lagos State in the house. We had Ughelli Delta State in the house. We had Lagos in the house. Ado Ekiti in the house. Ogun State in the house. Ijoma joined us. We had a whole bunch of people joining us from all over the world, I would say. So if you check on the link, you will see if you check in the chat, there's a link to follow us on Facebook, link to join us on WhatsApp. It's an email if you'd like to email us. This series held last Saturday of every month. It is MASHI's way of educating the community. These are important conversations that need to be had, and we're making sure that we're having them. We work on policy changes. We work on community awareness. We have resource persons in-house. We can bring these presentations to you. If you want us to come and talk in your faith community or your cultural groups, please let us know. We can arrange to have a presentation specifically designed for you. As we round off today, I know our initiator is in the house, Professor Hope Egaga. I'm going to turn it over to him for any last words before we close out. Professor Egaga.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. KG. We were really,
thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
yeah.
Insightful. Lot of applause in the chat. I don't know if you can see all the applause in the chat for you. Yes, people are going to be encouraged to have this very important conversation with their families going forward. Professor.
Amen.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, yeah, man.
Thank you so much, Dr. KJ. Well, we need some humor since we are discussing a very morbid topic. Dr. Sombe. Thank you very much, Dr. KJ, for your brilliant presentation. And thank everybody for coming. Now, grieving is part of life. So we all learn how to grieve. Some people grieve and then remain in grief and then go to the grave through intense pain. They are unable to reconcile themselves with the reality of death. Death can be painful, especially when the person is very close, sudden illness, alive this minute, and the next minute, the person is gone. Family, friends. Sometimes it happens in your very presence, all right? It's also traumatic. You go to bed with somebody, you wake up in the morning, tap your partner, that person is gone. Highly traumatic. How do you cope? All right. Now, one of the things to do is to say, well, this is inevitable, somebody must go. All right. And then you seek solace with scriptures, with friends, with family, people, sympathizers to come say nice things to you. Although in our culture here in Africa, woman is widowed, and rather than sympathizing with her, some persons come with terrible requests. I want the house papers. I want the car papers. No, that's the important thing to them, not in all families. So grieving is in order to grieve when we are bereaved, but it must not consume us. It must not be extreme. Talking about wills, while this conversation was on, I asked my wife, I told her, I said, I did my will 5 years ago. Have you done yours? She says, no. I said, okay, you got to do it. This is the first time ever we have discussed wills. You know, it's a morbid topic. It's something you don't want to discuss, but it's something that you must deal with. It may not prevent persons, family, from wanting to subvert your will, but it will tell those who have survived you what you want. If they subvert it, so that's their own problem. But for instance, where to be buried, how to be buried, who to conduct the burial, all right? Some persons go to the extent of saying, please, this person must not come to my funeral. You know, some go to that extent. But as Christians, we must not bear malice till death. So as she said, as our guest lecturer said, it's inevitable, something we have to deal with while we are alive. For some people, when they have a terminal disease, that is when they come to appreciate the beauty of life. As Steve Jobs said, all right, after all the wonderful achievements, innovations, he was now told he had terminal cancer. He then sat back and started reflecting on life, how every other thing did not matter. What mattered was his life. So I want to thank all of you for being part of this conversation. We'll be on again last Saturday in the month of April. Do be with us. Thank you, a wonderful presenter, Dr. Lilian Agbayegbe. I'm no longer going to present. I've ceded it to you and to the fantastic presenter. Thank you all. My students from the MA class who are here, I can see you. All the best.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And so next month, just so that you know, our guest speaker will be Mrs. Pathe Gaga herself. She will be talking about depression, signs, symptoms, and treatment. And that webinar will be held on April 26th. So mark your calendars, April 26th. Please invite your friends, invite your loved ones. This is a very informative session, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much.
And a good follow-up to this one.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, then, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
It will be nice to share some slides on the platform. Some slides, or especially that of quotation and things like that. It will be nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. You want the quotations? You want the slides on the quotations?
Yes, that was his request. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, just put a message on the platform, and I'll follow whatever.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you, family.
Bye-bye. Have a nice weekend and holiday too.
Yes. Happy holidays to everybody. Thank you, Uche.